I want to ask all of you guys to close your eyes. Now take a deep breath and imagine that you're standing in a room that's just a bit too chilly to be comfortable. With you in this room is a person that you don't really know. And this person asks you to undress from her waist down. You walk over to the corner of the room and you start to remove your clothes from your lower body. You do so until you're standing there with your socks left on, wondering, is it okay to keep them on? But before reaching any conclusion, you're asked to take a seat in a chair that's the same height as your kitchen counter. So in your Donald Duck costume, you climb onto this massive chair. And just as you manage to turn yourself the right way, you're asked to lift your feet up. At this point, you realize that your crotch is now the exact same height as the other person in the room, who then asks you to come closer. You scooch yourself down the chair, and you feel the gray paper that you're sitting on getting stuck in your butt crack. And then you're told to just relax. You take a few deep breaths in an attempt to do so. But the moment you feel cold metal against your skin, your only thought is, oh no, here we go.
Open your eyes. Probably many of you know what this is. And for you who has not been into a gynecological chair before, think of this as a car jack for the vagina. The product development behind this product that is called a speculum was developed by a male doctor in the 1800s, and it hasn't really been much developing since. The history behind the product development behind this product is dark, and the women involved at the time being were slaves and test objects for the product, without the opportunity to provide any input or set their own limits. The product was made to make the everyday life of a male doctor easier without meeting the other user, the woman, to the same extent. My name is Maren Sjåholm Rimehaug.
And my name is Hanne Eidsvik.
And together with a brilliant startup called Indivita, we are part of a team developing a new speculum. This speculum is a part of an induction kit to induce labor, which you can see here. So the speculum is in green, and then you have a pre-filled unit of salt water and a silicone balloon catheter. The reason for making an induction kit is because of the increasing numbers of inductions worldwide. In Norway, almost 30% of all labors are being induced, which is around 15,000 births per year. Since 2009, this number has increased by 12%. And the reason for this is diabetes, high BMI, and the increasing age of mothers. The most common procedure today is the use of a balloon catheter, which is a harmless procedure where you put pressure on the cervix to simulate a baby's head. The most common catheter used today is neither made for women or the purpose is made for men. And this is how it looks. This is a male urinary catheter. And the procedure, you use this together with the speculum in metal, a pair of forceps in metal, 4 small syringes, a plastic glove, and yes, some tape. So this long catheter that's designed for med is hanging down from the woman's vagina, and then it's being taped to her thigh. And this she has to walk around with for over 24 hours.
Do you think this sounds like an ideal way to start the most existential experience of your life? I expect you to, yeah, exactly. No, it's not. For labor to both start and have progress, there's one hormone that plays a crucial role, and that's oxytocin. Oxytocin is produced in our brains when we feel safe, loved, and taken care of. On the other hand, if you feel unsafe, insecure, disturbed, or in any other way uncomfortable during labor, your brain will struggle to produce oxytocin. And this will lead to your labor being delayed or even come to a complete stop. Because after all, childbirth is the most primal thing we do in today's society. And therefore, we still rely on hormones for it to go well.
So, therefore, facilitating for the production of oxytocin has been one of the most important things that we have focused on during the development of the new induction kit. And we believe that this kit will provide a better birth experience for all users involved for several reasons. First of all, quite basic one, but the catheter is dimensioned for the purpose. So it withholds 80 milliliters of salt water, unlike the male urinary catheter that is only dimensioned for 20 milliliters and can burst. Secondly, the kit frees up hands and resources, giving the doctor time and capacity to care for the woman. And thirdly, it gives the woman a more comfortable waiting time. The catheter is shorter and the valve is softer, that makes it possible to fold it into the vagina. And last but not least, the whole procedure can be done without the speculum, making it possible to avoid the gynecological share.
I believe that there are some of you in the audience that can relate to what we've been speaking about so far. And some of you might even be able to feel it in your bodies. But some of you can't. And that's okay, because biologically, we are different, and we're supposed to be so. But that also means that there are some things a male person can't do. For instance, carrying a child, undergo a cervical cell sampling, or go through menopause. There are also some interesting social factors to consider when we think about how we are different. So think about this. Being a woman today is far from being a woman 20 years ago, which again is far from being a woman 40 years ago, and so on. Our role in society is rapidly changing, which means that we are constantly caught between what was and what's to be. And this also results in us being both judged and recognized from past, present, and future generations. It's no secret that women have been underrepresented in various fields throughout the history, and product design is no exception. This has led to products that don't meet the needs of all their users. And in some cases, it even compromised their health and safety. And an example of this, which you might have heard before, is the crash test dummies that you use to test cars. Up until very recently, those were modeled after a male body. That's not okay. If you are a female and you have an iPhone, you might have thought about how this iPhone is just a bit too big for both your hands and your pockets. And if you have one of these at home, the home speaker, you might have noticed how it more often listens to your husband than it does to you. And why is it like this, Maren?
I think that's a really good question, actually. because it turns out that inclusion in general is profitable. And it also reduces risk, and especially in medical product development. Early stage healthcare projects often have tight constraints because of regulatory requirements. This means that you cannot really test your products on real human beings before entering a clinical trial. But by involving users, such as making them touch and feel your prototypes, or listening to their experience with the current products on the market, we can gain multiple perspectives and adjust our products before entering a clinical trial. So, inclusion is profitable, and it also reduces risk, and that is music to investors' ears, or what, Hanne?
It is, or it should be. But reality is that in investment circles today, investing in women's health, listen closely, is considered investing in a niche industry. And in the healthcare context, women's health is considered a subcategory of health, which is absurd considering that we're half the globe's population. So, increased focus on women's health proposes enormous opportunities for value creation and improving women's lives. And we all know that if you improve women's lives, you improve everyone's lives. So, therefore, investing in women is not only long overdue, but it's also damn good for business. And if that wasn't enough, it's also profitable for the society as a whole. And I'll give you 2 examples of this related to the products that we've been talking about. In Norway today, women above the age of 25 are encouraged to do a cervical screening every 3 years. This is to detect precursors of cervical cancer, so that we can prevent it rather than treat it. This is done by brushing cells off the cervix and then analyzing them. And to do this, your doctor needs a speculum. It's no secret that today's speculum is one of the major reasons why women dread to do this. Some even so much, they don't. The new speculum is warmer, it's silent, it doesn't pinch your vaginal walls, and it's actually made for the female body. And we believe that by using this, you'll give the woman a better experience. And maybe more people would then go through this cervical screening, which ultimately can contribute to prevent cancer. The other example, if we look at the induction kit as a whole, there are also some very interesting potential effects. Using products that are made for both the purpose, the person, and the situation she's in will most likely lead to an enhanced experience. And as we now know, a better experience would make it easier for your brain to produce oxytocin, which in turn will lead to shorter and better labors, reduced hospital stays, and improved breastfeeding initiation. So, to sum this up, throughout this talk, we've touched upon how it's important to involve women in product development processes, not only when it's product aimed at women, but for products aimed at everyone. Making products that meet the needs of their users, regardless of how they identify themselves, is an important aspect of creating a more inclusive and equitable world. However, you don't have to be a woman to design for women. The key to all user-centered processes is that you are able to view the world from the user's perspective, which in this case is that of a woman. In that massive chair, completely exposed, with her socks left on.
Thank you.
Thank you.